Hey, good evening, folks. It's Jason here, one of the pro traders over at TrueTrader.net, former market maker, been around since the 90s in the business. Everybody knows me as TheGoose in our chat room. There's a midweek watch that I put together. It's going to be around 10 minutes long. Do me a favor and hit the like button and also subscribe. That would help us out a little bit as well. So TrueTrader nor its representatives are not registered as a broker dealer or investment advisor with the SEC or any state regulatory authorities, not licensed or qualified to provide investment advice. Folks, this is 100% for entertainment purposes only or educational. This is not any type of solicitation whatsoever. I'm not qualified or licensed to provide any type of that type of investment advice. So treat it as such. And then I'm going to dive right in. This week's edition, I did it a little bit different, and you're going to work with me. I'm going to go a little bit slower. And I put a bunch of earnings plays up there that reported, I think, pretty much all this evening. So I want to go through a little bit about what I look at in these things, and kind of if you see me looking off to the side, I use Trade the News to kind of look very quickly at earnings, look at their guidance and things of that nature, and then I compare them to what the technicals are telling me as well. So I'll go through that with you guys. It's going to be quick still. So it's not going to be a 20-minute thing, hopefully, but that's why there's a little bit less symbols. I think I got eight companies that I wrote down tonight, and we'll see what we could do getting along. In reference to the SPY and the Qs, I do have the SPY up right now. That's what you see right here. The only thing that I would tell you on this is both of them are kind of hugging the 20-day. This light blue line is a 20-day. You could see them hugging. There's a little part of me that thinks that the Qs never really came back. If you look to the 50-day, when this dip happened, the SPY actually came all the way down to the 50-day. I'll pull that back up just to show you. That purple line is the 50-day, so you can see that right there. And the Qs never really followed. I kind of feel like that the market still needs a little bit of a break. You could see the extension right here. This is the Qs, but who are we to predict the markets? That's how we get ourselves in trouble. But we'll see what happens. So let me just dive right in, and I'm going to pull up FSLY, FSLY. Right now, I have two different trades on this. First of all, I'm looking at a long side from 168 and 164 now in the post market. This could all change in the morning, by the way, guys. Their conference call is at 5 o'clock this evening, so it's already happened. But this is what I'm looking for. You can see it's down quite a bit in the post market. My notes on this is their Q3 guidance is off. They didn't give any fiscal year guidance, but I'll review that and double check that with you guys in a second. But 168, 164, there's a point of control. I just want to show you in the volume profile here. You can see kind of the peak of the volume here. The 168 level I have written down to be of interest. And then all the way down here at 164, which is a quarterly pivot. And you can see the support level here. That's where I'll be open to looking at FSLY, FSLY. On the flip side, to me, if this pushes anywhere into this 50-day or 200-day area, I think it might be a nice fade as well. That being said, it's below the 50-day. Obviously, that's up a little bit higher. I'm using the whole numbers, but you could also see it's at previous support. Old support becomes what? New resistance. So that's what I'm looking for at that 180 level. Okay. And when I pull up the numbers, they're just not providing the fiscal year 21 outlook. Their Q3 came in light on their revenues, came in 500 to 525 versus 534 expected. So things looked a little bit light there. I think it could stay heavy pretty much all day, but if you do get an early pop, might be a good opportunity for a fade. So we'll see what happens with FSLY. It's down quite a bit in the post market here, but I'll be around in FSLY. Next one I have written down is FSLY. Let me pull this up a little bit so you guys can see what I'm looking at. FSLY. And I wrote down on this one, just looking for a fade on this, okay? FSLY, again, similar idea on this. I wrote down on fade 40 and 41. I have a feeling if this pushes, and I'll go over the numbers with you in a second, anything into that whole number or this quarterly pivot 41 area, that's right here. I think it's going to end up being a nice fade. I'm not sure it's going to get there. It's already down in the 36s, but again, this has $2-3 range in it. You never know on this thing, but I think it could be pretty decent. When you look at the numbers, in the bottom and the top line, they missed by a hair, but they're talking about already they had to cut their fiscal year 21. Nobody likes when they start cutting guidance. I think this is a name that's already kind of breaking down, and I think it could remain heavy. I want to be around for it. Sometimes these are the easiest trades, is joining a downtrend, a heavy stock that breaks levels. You can see all these levels, all this support. It's below it. And it could just, people could just puke the stock and give us an opportunity just for a slow fade. So I'll be around on this name as well. That's FSLY. LMND. Pull it up over here. And I'm just going to try to go through these a little. I can't believe it seems like time flies on this. But 78.50, I drew a little line here just to show you this old support areas. You could see 78.50 was a level. Its post market's 81.60. My notes are, and I wrote 78.50, just so going over the technicals real fast. You can see the support areas that I'm looking at here, prior supports, but 78.50 was the level I wrote down. But really, the best spot is going to be that 74.30 area, which is right off this quarterly pivot area. So that's what I'll look for on that. But that being said, with Lemonade, it has really a decent range, has $5 plus range. You know, numbers were in line, slight bottom line miss, and fiscal year, the guidance seemed okay. So I think this might actually have a bounce play in it. That's what I'm looking at. They came in on the bottom line 90 cents, a loss of 90 cents versus 88 cents. They beat small on revenue. They raised their fiscal year 21 revenue just a hair. So I think this might be a good candidate for a bounce type play off tomorrow's open. So we'll see if it gets a nice early wash. On another call, I'll give you the reasons sometimes why these things still wash. You look at numbers and sometimes they're good and you're like, why are they still selling? And just remember, in short, it only takes one seller that has a good position that wants to roll out of a Lemonade into a new AMD or whatever the symbol is. So, you know, it's not for us to determine that. We just want to kind of, you know, trade the action that we're seeing in these names, right? So that's LMND, Lemonade. Uber, I wrote down two different trades on this. I wrote down a long off 37.60. Let me drag this up here for a second. 37.60 is this monthly pivot right here. It's actually pretty close to that. So I'm not sure, but have in mind, this only has $1.50 range usually on Uber. I'm pulling it up to the side here. And I'm looking for a fade possibly into a G2C, which is a gap to close. So right up into this 41.60 area, you see a quarterly pivot. You see it closed at 41.81. Any type of push into that, also I'll look for a fade. So the two trades for me on this is a long off 37.60, a short off 41. I think I wrote down 41.80. But anywhere 41.60 to 41.80 pocket should be pretty decent there. It's got to be something on the conference call. To me, I'm looking at this from a technical break. You know, this is kind of breaking down from a technical standpoint. We'll see what happens, but that's UBER. DXC, dog, X-ray, Charlie. So DXC, I wrote down on this, just looking for a fade, 41.95. I wrote down on this. It's already done. This does not have huge range. You can say, why do you put these things on in a $1.50 range? What is it? Why are we not looking at Apple, AMD, NVIDIA, all these other, these big names? Is I try to, include some of these interesting names also. Some of these interesting names that, not on everybody else's skin sometimes turn out to be really, knock on wood, easier trades. So I do include them. So DXC, what I'm looking at on this, I just felt the numbers were very unimpressive. So I put the G2C, which is also up at this monthly pivot, 41.80, 41.70 is the monthly. You got the previous close up at 42.18. Any type of push in there, it can make it and pushes in the morning. I also like the fact that it kind of traded up into the numbers and then, falls back down. So I'll be watching this one. EA, let's look at EA real quick. I think the numbers were okay in guidance. Let me just punch out EA for a sec off to the side here. Here's 79 adjusted versus 63, 155 versus 128, and the guidance seemed okay. The way they spelled it out, they talked a lot about things on the conference call, so I'm not going to get into the details with it, but everything seemed pretty decent with me. I wrote down 140.30 on EA, and what that is, just so you guys know, is it's right back into this monthly and this prior. Right into this, where's that monthly? 140.30 right here. Here we go. Sorry about that. And this prior support right here. It's above the G2C area. You could see it, which is 140. And then you get the monthly pivot right here. So I'm going to look for a G2C type play off EA. Okay. So that's EA just above that. And that's a long I'm looking for on this. All right. The next couple are, yes, Peloton. I know I had on there a few weeks ago. This is a name that's been, good to me. But PTON is a pretty basic one. I'm looking at 115.80, which is a 50-day in support. It's kind of been hugging. I think Peloton is going to make another leg up. I want to be around. You can see how it's been respecting the 50-day. You see this 50-day kisses, 50-day kiss here. So I wrote down right off this, the same area, 115.80. It actually kissed it a couple days ago. And gave a really, really nice trade. I'll look for that same exact kiss again, 115.80, see what happens if the market gives us an opportunity in the morning. Peloton's a funny name because you never know. Sometimes you get those early morning washes on it. And if you're not prepared, then you're never going to be ready to take the trade. So Peloton was one when I looked at it. I saw how it traded today. And I said, you know what, right off that 50-day would be pretty sweet if it happened. So I want to include that in my scan. The last one I'm going to put up there is ACAM. ACAM, actually. I wrote down 110.30 and 107.50 on ACAM. ACAM reported actually, was it yesterday the 3rd after the close. Had a good trade in it today actually, but I'm going to go back to ACAM again. And what I wrote down was 110.30 and 107.50. I mean, you can't ignore this 107.50 area. You got the 200-day monthly. I mean, everything looks really nice on that. But I also want to trade it right off that 110.30, which is this previous month's pivot and this previous low. So I want to include this because you see how fast it was bought up. If those sellers come back tomorrow and slam it again, I want to be prepared for it. Okay. So that's ACAM off 110.30. That's obviously 107.50 would be ideal. But 110.30 is definitely an interesting spot. This is earnings from a couple days ago, by the way. ACAM, when they did report, let me just go over the numbers with you. Everything seemed pretty much in line. And that's why I was a little bit surprised by the drop. Had to have been something again on a conference call that they said that somebody didn't like. But when I looked at the numbers, as far as a quick glance, everything looked pretty decent to me on it. So they even raised their fiscal year 21 earnings. There's just from pretty much the bottom of the range to higher than the estimate. So I liked ACAM today. It was a good trade. I'll double dip into that tomorrow if it gives me the same opportunity. So that's really it I have for you. Again, if you guys like what we're doing here, it's a little bit different. I tried to go over a little bit of, some earnings ones, didn't really go back to my daily scan, which I usually go to come up with some other symbols. But if you guys like what you're seeing, please do the like and subscribe button. Come check us out at TrueTrader.net. I think you'll really love the community over there. There's great group of guys. And hopefully we see you over there, guys. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section. I'll be sure to try to get to you as soon as I can. So thank you guys. Have a great night. See you in the morning. Thanks.